Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Rose.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our reaction and review for The Testament Season 1, Episode 9. This may be, bar none, the most surprised I have been by any series of events on a TV show so far this year. I know this is based on source material. Jess and we have not read that. I was thankfully unspoiled, and oh my goodness.
I was completely unspoiled, shocked. I couldn't believe what was happening with Becca, but it really did beg the question of whether her or not her father was doing this to her or not. It seemed like kind of a surprise to her when it was all coming out that this happened to Daisy and she didn't believe it. And then it happened to Agnes and all of a sudden she believed it. I've been really like back and forth. Has this been happening to Becca or not? And I'm still kind of in the same spot. What do you guys think? Did this happen to Becca or not?
I am kind of in the same spot too, to be honest, where there are times where I've tried to talk myself into either one because I think there's an argument to be made here that, all right, maybe it did happen to her because that's where she went from 0 to 60 as fast as she did with, okay, now I need to take this guy out. But then conversely, she's in love with Agnes.
Yes.
So the idea of, oh, you did this to the person that I loved, I think that's motivation enough for
Yeah.
her to do this. And I think that's where it is really complicated and intentionally so. She could be repressing things, she could not be. I'm not sure we're ever even going to get an answer.
I don't know that we're ever going to get an answer either. It's this whole situation, like, it's just so surprising. I can't even believe we're here talking about this.
I know.
And I cannot believe we only have one episode left after this.
This
That
is
is also shocking. This has gone by like this.
it's the brilliance of this show in a lot of ways where it felt like the first 5 or 6 episodes they were doing a lot of table setting. This is the world. These are the characters. And then starting with Daisy and some of the stuff at the end of episode 8, they were just like, okay, now we're really going to go into high gear. And we have stayed in that gear from the rest of the way.
Bruce, I need 6 more seasons, please. 6 more seasons at least and a movie.
Yeah, is that too much to ask here? No, we're really excited to talk about this. There are so many questions that we have to get into here.
Absolutely. But before we dive into it, be sure to join our YouTube memberships. Here on YouTube, we have extra videos with our memberships all about the Testaments. We have 2 videos up right now. One all about Nick. Yeah, you heard that right. It is about Nick and whether or not he could still show up either this season, next season, season 6, like I'm hoping for. We're going to have so many seasons.
Yeah.
We also have a theory video up on Aunt Vidala there as well, and whether or not she's going to end up betraying Lydia. So be sure to join those memberships. It really helps us out here at the channel.
Thank you guys so much for your support there. And we also want to share with you guys a really exciting partnership that we are doing right now with Oxneck Clothing. They produce these really cool snazzy outfits that Jess and I have on. They're very retro, they're stylish, they have a lot of really awesome and colorful designs. They're really comfortable too, by the way.
I own like 20 of these sweaters. I've been wearing these guys for years.
Jess has been wearing them for years. I've gotten on board more recently. I totally love them. We have a link in the description for you guys where you can go over to Oxnet's website and you can get 15% off anything over there with the code Matt and Jess TV. We highly suggest you take a look at that. You're going to love it.
It also really helps us out here on YouTube. So thank you so much. And you really will love these sweaters. They are so cute.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. All right, let's just talk about Becca here because it is just like one surprise after another with her.
It was really shocking. Like Matt said, we have not read the source material. I know that they veered off from some of the source material, so I don't even know if this is actually happening in the source material or not at this point. But yeah, it was really shocking the way that it was all starting to come together, where Daisy's like, you know what, if I'm going to do something, I need to have access to the dentist. How do I get access to the dentist? I need to ring that bell. And so she does. goes to see Dr. Grove and nothing happens. And she's like, oh, no, 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 I'm not going to let him get away with this. I already know he's doing this to other people. There is no way. And so she fakes it to make sure that the people that it really happened to get some sort of justice out of this. But this really unravels Becca's life in ways that I didn't even expect. I mean, I expected it to unravel it,
Mhm.
that her father is having accusations and how is this going to affect Becca? How is this going to affect her marriage? But yo, I did not expect it to go to an 11 like this, where she has taken it to such a level that she is just not going to be able to come back from this.
And there are also so many different questions to unravel that are tied to all of this. I mean, we
Mhm.
can even start with the conversation between Lydia and Judd, where Judd is sitting there basically saying, okay, Dr. Grove, he will get his. Lydia talks about the timing of it for various reasons. I mean, it's fair to even sit back and wonder, all right, would Judd have even followed through on some of this? Would he have just moved Dr. Grove somewhere else? Like, was this conversation all just lip service?
The most chilling part of this
Mhm.
conversation was Judd saying, ah, what a pity. He was such a great dentist. I was just like, this is absolutely gross.
Yeah, I think we were both already very fully in the camp of Judd is absolutely terrible. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing with some of
He's
these.
so grimy.
Yeah, like he is easily one of the grimiest people in this world. So that's why, to me, it's not that hard to think that he would have just moved Dr. Grove somewhere else.
I
And
think so.
yeah, there might not have been any real punishment that came with that at all. But then we get to Becca eventually hearing
Oh.
from Agnes the truth about what happened and watching her have to hear all this in real time and then go into this prayer circle where she's just still sobbing. My heart was just like falling out of me.
I'm so concerned that we're never going to end up seeing Becca again after this. I mean, her love for Agnes, it's run so deep. Like, clearly, it's deep at this
Mhm.
point. If she is going to take care of her father in this way, because she does kind of try to confront him at dinner and can see that even though he's saying no, his
Yeah.
body is saying, yeah, I did this. And she knows in her heart that he did.
Yeah, she does. And I think that is why she's so compelled to act. Like, there is that question about whether or not she's had experience in this as well. But
Right.
regardless, ultimately, she is compelled. She does this. It is quick. It is stunning. At first, I'll be honest, I thought this was one of those classic TV dream sequences where we see it
Mm.
happen. And then
Mhm.
it turns out that isn't actually the case. Like, even Dexter, who has done many, many bad things, we have seen him do things like that where he hasn't actually taken people out in the moment.
Yo, I thought it was a dream. I truly did. I was like, are we actually going to end up losing Becca? She's such a huge character on this show. And I know that we lose people all the time in
Yes.
Gilead, but we are in a very different space with these young girls where it's not about, oh, the adults are coming in, they're leaving, they're whatever, because this is such a young group of people. I didn't expect it to go this way. I thought for sure this is a dream. We're still going to have
Mhm.
Becca next season. There's going to be this weird love triangle that's
Yeah.
going on with Garth, and it's just going to continue on. But no, it was real. She went in, she took care of her dad, and then she dressed up as a Martha and went over to Agnes's house and was like, "Hey, I did this for you." And Agnes is in, I mean, such a hard position, right? Like, you've got your best friend who's willing
Mhm.
to do anything for you, as best friends should. You need to
Yes.
take somebody out. Where's the shovel? We're burying bodies together. But here it's literally happening in the worst place that you could ever do something like this as a young woman. So Agnes, I think, really did the only thing she could do, which is clean her up, make her feel like things are going to be okay, call in her parents. Like, well, what else are you really going to do? And that then calls in Garth, who I was really on the fence about, double agent, actually part of Mayday, what is going on? But because he's still part of the eyes, he called the eyes.
I went through a gamut of emotions like nobody through this like 5 minute sequence at the end of the episode. I mean, at first, when we're having Becca wander around as a Martha, I was sitting here being like, Oh no, Becca, what are you doing? What are you doing? They're of course gonna catch you. I didn't think that she was gonna go to Agnes because I felt like
I
they
thought
would.
she was escaping.
Yeah, I thought she was escaping too because I was just thinking, there's no way you can stay there after all of this. Like, there's people roaming the streets, and we know what Gilead is like, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I am still a little bit surprised that she was able to get to Agnes and get inside without like anybody stopping her or questioning. I mean, I want to say I'm glad that didn't happen, but at the same time, we know where this episode is going now, so it's kind of a bad ending no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, her being taken by the eyes,
Mhm.
I don't know if this is a situation where Garth is then going to step in for her in some kind of way, or because everything did happen with Dr. Grove, that Lydia's going to find a way to yada yada around this situation and be like, it is justice. The girls, wanted their pound of flesh, as Judd said, and they got it. And, this was all went through Becca, but we're going to clean it up and make it look like the girls got justice. And this is how it actually happened. This way, Becca can still continue to have some sort of a life. Everything can be okay with, her mom, and everything will just be a-okay, because this is where it could have been going anyways with Grove. So if it was going there anyways, could there be a cleanup crew that comes in?
If there is, it has to be Lydia, because this is another emotional stage I went through of complete and utter denial. When we see the end of this episode with Garth, there was this part of me that was like, oh, maybe this is a secret Mayday force and they all just happen to be disguised as the eyes. I wanted to believe that, but I'm like 99% that's not true. And I think the biggest reason why is that what we know about Garth is that if Garth is actually full on Mayday and he's not a double agent, like, he still has to be extremely careful. That's why
Mhm.
he's really dodgy. He doesn't want to give Daisy that much information. There's apparently only so many people he's talking to. Becca has shown herself now to, while her actions, we may all understand them, it still would present a certain fear to Garth in this position that, oh, she just took someone out. Like, this was a very spur of the moment decision. Like, can I really trust her to be on her side and not cause any more chaos? I just don't think he's willing to stick his neck out for her, unfortunately, regardless of their potential marital status or not.
Yeah, they're not that close. I hadn't considered that maybe he had a van full of Mayday eyes, mostly because he has kind of made it seem like
Mhm.
he only has a handler, and that is the only person that he's ever spoken to, and that there's not really like he doesn't know who June is. Then I
Yeah.
think he doesn't have that much access to be able to call it in and be like, hey, I've got this problem, and we're supposed to be married, so I really need to save her so that, we can continue on. Unless Mayday feels that it will benefit them to have a commander that's part of
Mhm.
Mayday, and that they need him to be a commander, they need him to be married, and they need to and then save Becca to make that continue to happen so that the two of them can continue to rise and Garth will be in a position of power, and real information.
The only other person that I could think of who might be able to help, and I literally just thought of this right now, is whoever his handler is. But the
Right.
unfortunate reality is we don't know who that person is.
No, we
Like, is
don't.
it someone from The Handmaid's Tale? Is it somebody completely not? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce somebody else from the show in the finale. That is
Mhm.
kind of one of those big, oh my gosh, surprise moments that a show like this does want to deliver.
For sure. This was the best episode of the whole season. Everything was done perfectly.
It really, really was, to the point where even though we're meant to obviously root for these girls and everything that they're going through, it's okay for us to be mad at them occasionally as well. Like, Agnes, as narrator, even said that in the last episode.
I love that.
I'm kind of surprised she didn't do that again in this episode, to be honest, because while I think it makes perfect sense for Agnes as a teenager who is vulnerable, and after everything that Becca did, she's going to buy into the idea that, oh, her parents are just giving her help. Like, I'm sitting
Mhm.
here and being like, how could you, Agnes? How can you betray your vows? I was so mad at it, but I also understood it.
She's a young person who doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And she's a young woman in Gilead where she has no power.
Mhm.
There is nothing she can do except tell somebody. This was her only choice. I just got to say, like, shout out to the music department once again
Mhm.
for this whole beginning sequence of Daisy deciding she's going to ring the bell and all this
Mhm.
stuff and the plan to see the dentist, and they played Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, I had chills down my spine.
And this may be delusional of me to think, but I'm going into the finale with still a small amount of hope for Becca. And I think a lot of it, and this is something that, Bruce, we're talking to you again here, but you have said in many interviews that you don't want this show to just be bleak and sadness upon sadness upon sadness. And yes, this is Gilead. Really bad things have to
Of
happen.
course.
Becca can have some adversity, but it's sort of like Janine. Janine had a million terrible things happen to her, but
Oh, yes, she did.
she still made it out. Can Becca be the new Janine, please, in this world?
I really hope so.
But we will find out in the finale. That is where we are, though, coming out of the Testament Season 1, Episode 9. Let us know, what did you guys think about this?
Mhm.
Where do you think the finale is going? Let us know. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your support, and we will see you here next time.